What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Dak. Oh, that is way too much in the shot. Here we go. Let's see. Let's get this fixed a little bit. We're still working out the kinks with this mic setup, and I apologize. That probably just murdered all of your ears, but we're going to try and keep it there. All right. That's pretty good. Hopefully that's not too poppy, not too distracting. Sometimes this is cause crud. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, one of these days we'll have a good mic placement. We're actually probably going to be adjusting where we have our setup anyway here in the next couple weeks. But anyway, besides the point, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dak Chats. It's really nice being back here on a Sunday night. I know we've missed the last two Sunday nights, and I'm sorry about that, guys. Sundays are just it is a little bit challenging because we have family and kids and stuff. So try and make sure we fit everything in, but. We a lot of times we'll try to do, even if we don't make it on Sunday, is do it on Mondays. If I'm correct, I've only watched one season of BB Can, but I think their Sunday episodes are actually on Mondays, so that might help out with that too, because we will be covering BB Can when that starts up as well. But we're back, and I'm glad to be back. Glad to cover this episode. It's definitely a historical episode. We've not had anything like this before, and we'll get to it at the end. My goal this stream is going to try to not get distracted as easily and start ranting. I don't know that we're going to make it 5 minutes in without that, but that's what it is. So 1 moment. Excuse me. Sorry. Very unprofessional. It's a Sunday. We're a little more chill anyway. But I don't know if we'll make it 5-10 minutes into the episode without going on a rant, but we'll see, or trailing off or get distracted, whatever. But we'll see what happens. It's a good episode tonight, and I'm excited to cover it. And I'm glad you guys are here. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. Definitely does help. And if you're new here and you just found us and you're enjoying this, hit that subscribe button. We try and go live about 15 to 30 minutes after the airing of each episode. Where's that? 15 to 30 minutes after the airing of each episode. That way, gives you guys a little bit of time to come find us, and we get to recap everything. And our Wednesday and Thursday episodes. Thursday's episodes are always so much fun, especially because sometimes we have competitions going, waiting for the feeds to come back, and so we have a lot of fun here. But yeah, so we're just gonna jump on into the episode. Like I said, if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And we also might do something at the end for Twitter, because I like for you guys to follow me on Twitter. So anyone that does follow me on Twitter, I will try during the stream. I'll try and give a shout out by the end of the stream. So go follow me at Dak Chats, and towards the end of the stream, we'll do that. Also, too, we try and save questions and stuff through the live chat towards the end of the episode. So if I don't read your question or your chat, sometimes I might, just depending on if it's relevant to the exact thing that we're saying. But if not, if I don't read it during the stream, stick to the end, because I will catch your question or comment or whatever it is that you put in there at the end. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. All right, guys. So I forgot. I was so kind of into it that I kind of forgot to start taking notes at the beginning. But basically, we hear from Michael initially, and he talks about how he's trying to keep the leftovers safe. Basically, he wants to try and make the best decisions to keep everyone as tight as possible. And he says that he's trying to decide basically with the schoolyard pick. And if you weren't here Thursday and you haven't heard me already complain about it, I'm so annoyed with the schoolyard pick. It really helps them gain this entire twist way too much. I feel like there was a ton of potential with this twist, and the schoolyard pick alone, instead of it just being a random draw, is kind of neutered it. At least what it could have been, but we can cover that more later. But yeah, he's trying to decide who to pick, who the best choice is, if he should go for a target or an ally, basically. And in the end, he decides to choose Jasmine. So he takes Jasmine first, so that way Terrence can't take Jasmine and use her as a number or an ally. So he grabs Jasmine, and afterwards we see, or we're skipping ahead a little bit, but he's trying to decide that, and then Terrence talks about how he's happy and he wants to waste, he doesn't want to waste his HOH, he wants to take a big target out, right? So now they start picking the teams. Michael goes first. Like we said, he picks Jasmine. Terrence picks Turner, and Turner says he's happy to not be with Jasmine all week. And Turner's been talking all week on the feeds that he's happy to be living outside. So he's down for that. If he likes it, that's awesome. That's great. And there's a lot of people like camping. I love going camping, but we'll cover more of that in a minute. Because I'm not entirely thrilled with the way they did that. But anyway, like I said, we'll cover that. So Turner, like we said, he goes to Terrence. Michael, his second pick, he decides, okay, time to bring in an ally, because basically if he doesn't pick Brittany is at very high risk of going out. So he takes Brittany. Terrence picks Alyssa with his second pick. So he says he hopes that he's able to pull her in since she voted to keep him last week. And Alyssa says she is a little bummed to be on the what is it, Dire Fest, because she doesn't want to be stuck outside and everything. But she's actually hoping, from what I understood, I'm pretty sure she said she's actually hoping Kyle doesn't get picked on her same team, because she's afraid that if they're on the same team, that they could be put up as a showmance, as a couple, as a target, and one of them would for sure go home. And that was being talked about going into it, so that's not a bad call there. Michael, with his third pick, goes for Taylor. Terrence comes back with his third pick, and he goes for Joseph. He says that basically Joseph is an easy person for him to put on the block, because he says he doesn't really have a relationship with him, and he hasn't talked a lot of game with him. So he's like, Joseph, I'll take Joseph, and that'll kind of give me at least one seat to fill. I don't think at this point whether or not he stated officially whether or not Joseph was his target, but he at least mentions that he is an easy person for him to put up. So, and then we get back to Michael. Now, Michael with his fourth pick, he goes for Monty. He thinks that Kyle, and I did get confused about this. So if you guys caught it, let me know, because I turned to my wife and she confirmed what I said, but it's still, I don't know, because I've been trying to keep up with the feeds, and there's been a lot going on, so I haven't been able to as much as I'd like. But he says that Michael says that he thinks Kyle might take a shot at the leftovers, and he's kind of hoping he does, so Michael doesn't have to. Which, again, I don't disagree with that logic. I just haven't heard him saying anything about it. Personally, I've been trying to keep up with it, but even when I try and listen to the updates in the morning, sometimes I'm tuning in and out, so I only catch so much. I got to get someone on here that can join me that is watching the feeds a lot, just to kind of fill in stuff, or even some of you guys in the chat that can supplement that. So any of you guys that are feed watchers, if I miss anything, by the way, feel free to insert that. I try and bring along the feeds perspective, because I do watch the feeds quite often. It's just this season I've been trying to, and it's been a little bit more challenging time-wise, but I do tend to keep up with the feeds. So during our recaps, we try and fill in some of the blanks from the feeds that the show leaves out, that the edit leaves out. So if I miss any points and you guys have anything to contribute, put them in the chat and we'll cover that as well. I'm happy to be corrected on stuff, because I like to be accurate, and I don't want to put out info that didn't happen. Where we go? So Michael is ready, or is hoping that Kyle will take that shot at one of the leftovers, so that way he can kind of start dwindling that down. Is basically what I understood from what he was saying there. And then that leaves Kyle with Terrence. So we have on the big, I keep messing, I don't know why I'm struggling with that, Big Brochella, the inside house or whatever, team, whatever, is Michael, obviously, Jasmine. So Jasmine, Michael, Brittany, Taylor, and Monty. So on the outside at Die Fest, whatever, we have obviously Terrence, Turner, Alyssa, Joseph, and Kyle. So those are our two different groups for the week. So Brittany says she's a little bit nervous for the leftovers. She says that the leftovers are kind of in danger if something happens, because on that side, with Terrence winning HOH, because Terrence could pretty much do whatever he wants. So they're going to be separate for a whole week and have no idea what's going on. It's going to be very nerve-wracking for her, at least a little bit, because she's they just don't know what to expect and what's going on. Kyle is scared because him and Alyssa are in a showmance, and we kind of heard Alyssa talk about that too. They're a big target, and they know that, so they're afraid going into this that they're going to be the easy ones to put up. And if that's what Terrence was thinking, it would have been an easy nomination for him. We hear that. Well, first of all, so we hear about Big Brochella gets the pizza and beer, right? Awesome, cool, whatever, good for them. I wish personally, like, I get what they're doing based on like the season theme, where like Dire Fest, like most of those types of outdoor music festivals, it is like brutal. I've never been, the closest thing I've ever been to an outdoor music festival was I went to Warped Tour once, and that I was there pretty much all day. It was the middle of summer, and even that I was dying. I should have brought like some type of bladder, water bladder sleeve or whatever. The only water that was out there was not hot or was not cold at all. It was, from that perspective, from the heat and lack of water, it was kind of miserable. So I know where they're going with it. On the other hand, and especially when you compare it to what it's based off of, which is Fire Festival, and that was an even bigger tragedy than what's going on in Dire Fest. So I do get why they're going that route. But if it's, I just personally don't like it. And especially if this does become a staple, just like a double eviction, which I am, as far as the principle goes, I'm all for, but they have to make it a random draw. They can't do a schoolyard pick. That being said, the way they did the schoolyard pick, or since they did the schoolyard pick, the way, like how they set it up, totally fine with. I think Michael going first was fine. I kind of wish though that during the HOH comp, they would have had Julie said something about the final two. Obviously, you two have already become HOH in your own respective right, but you still want to win this because whoever wins gets first shot. They didn't say that. And so I'll be honest, when I was watching the HOH comp, I was like, it doesn't matter. Just go. It doesn't matter because you already went with one. Now, obviously it turned into, I don't know if they knew. I can't remember if they knew at that point whether or not the winner of that goes inside. So maybe if they were already told that and I forgot, that would have been a good enough reason to go for it. But if not, just alone, them having the ability to know who goes first, I think would have been a good choice for them. But that being said, I still wish this was not a schoolyard pick. If they fix that, I'm fine with them doing this over again, but they also have got to at least set up the BB basement or the BB loft. I would call it BB loft. The BB loft. And get that set up so they can have them stay in there. I think that would have worked really, really well had they done that. I don't want them to change a new house. I've grown up watching this house. I'm attached to it, so I don't want them to change a new house. But I do think it'd be cool to have kind of a different perspective with, or kind of shake it up a little bit while having the loft and kind of, okay, some of you are here. I think if they were to do that, I think that's an awesome idea. But it's definitely needs some improvement. And we've seen that before. Other things that have changed the structure of the game, other twists that kind of turned into staples, they've had to work out the kinks. Like with the veto. Originally, everyone got to play in the veto until someone came up with the backdoor, the backdoor strategy. And then once they realized that, they were like, okay, well, we kind of got to shorten this a little bit. So they allowed everyone, it only be 6 people. And so yeah, that they've worked out kinks before, right? I feel like, yes, while this is the first conception we've seen of this, and even like we've talked about before, Survivor splits them up, and this is kind of similar to that. It's most similar to Survivor than any other version of this twist, like on BB Canada. But I still feel like you should have like the intelligence to realize you can't do this, because when they go out there, and I mean, we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but when they go out there, Alyssa and Joseph both are like, Joseph even literally says, I did not sign up for this. And when it comes to like Big Brother, I hate their twists. I think the majority of the twists should go. I'm fine with them trying to like evolve the game over time. I've said that before. Every sport ever, it evolves over time. The rules adapt to the time, right? But even with that being said, when you have the rules changing, all these random twists that they have for just 1 week, I hate it because you can't ever go in strategizing one way or the other. Like if I ever did go on and they asked me what's my strategy, I'm going to say I don't have one, because I don't know what kind of monkey wrench you guys are going to throw at me that completely destroys the integrity of the game. So that being said, I'm fine with. Well, all that being said, as much as I hate it, when people go in and say, "Oh, I'm so angry about this twist. I didn't sign up for this." No, you did sign up for this because at any point, it does not matter. At any point in time, the rules of the game can change based on whatever twist or whatever they say. And even like we've even heard that early this season, like in week 1 with Paloma and stuff. She kept talking about, instead of promising to split the money, I'll promise to invest in your companies. And Michael, attorney, kept telling her, like, you need to stop. You can't say that because they can still change the rules even if you thought you found a loophole. So at any point in time, they can change the rules. They can change the way the twist works. Whether they should or shouldn't, that's a greater decision, but they have that authority. So you can't go in just because you're unhappy about the way something's going by saying, well, I didn't sign up for this, right? I mean, you can, there's nothing stopping you, but you did sign up for that. I don't feel that way in this case because I feel like based on literally, we've not had a season where they were forced to sleep. I don't even know that they were forced to sleep outside even one night before, like forced to it. I'm sure there's been some that have, but I don't know that it's ever been enforced for even one night. I could be wrong. That'd be a very obscure type of twist or punishment or something. So if it is, remind me. But I don't think they've even done that before. So there is no precedent at all for them to think that they have to, or are going to be required to sleep outside for one night, let alone a week. That is something that I don't feel like they signed up for. I don't feel like they could. I don't understand how they justify that. I mean, I guess they can try and say, well, you signed up for it, but still, that whole situation annoys the heck out of me. And as much of a super fan as I am, as much as I would have to adapt to everything that goes on and be prepared to, and I would not be, I'd like to say I wouldn't, but I'm hoping I would not be making any of those claims like, oh, I just can't, this is, I didn't sign up for this or anything like that. I still feel like even I would be like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing, like, maybe it's not that bad, but I've never slept overnight outside in LA. So, I don't know. But the whole thing is just really like just constant sun, like just that, like sun's great. You need to have sun, but like never, it is like camping. I agree. But also like, even then you get to decide that's being kind of forced on them. So for me, I'm like, I feel they're not getting that option. I mean, yeah, they could just walk out, right? They're not being held against their will, but I just don't like that aspect personally. So yeah, the whole situation annoys me, but anyway, that's my rant for that. So I'll try and avoid complaining about that as much as I can. It's just the whole thing annoys me. I was gonna say something else and I lost my train of thought, but whatever. Okay, so Kyle, he's upset about the Schoolyard pick. Just like we all are, but he's upset about the results of it. Turner talks to Terrence, and he basically asks, am I going to be safe this week? And Terrence tells him, yeah, you'll be safe this week. Terrence tells us that, listen, he says he's for sure keeping Terrence safe because he needs his advice and info this week. So he's hoping to count on Turner for him for that purpose. Terrence talks to Alyssa, and he basically tells her he's keeping her safe. Alyssa says that she says that she feels comfortable and hopes that she gained favor with him by keeping him safe this week. So I mean, and we also kind of, we heard her saying that earlier, and so we just kind of continue on with that. Alyssa, she's not excited. They get outside, and that's what the other thing was that I was going to say is that they, again, the rules of this twist, the way they just absolutely botched the way this twist works, like they had an amazing potential, like one of the best potentials out of any twist that we've had in probably decades. I would say at least a decade, maybe even two, because we're in the 24th. This is the 22nd year, so yeah, we can definitely say, well, we can say within 2 decades. I mean, I'll say at least one. But they had so much potential and just completely squandered it. And so again, they get to commingle before they actually do their schoolyard pick. And then after that, they get to commingle in the house. Like, I get they had to get all their stuff, and it could have been challenging, but they could have just done a lockdown in the HOH room. 5 go up there, have production go in, pack all their stuff for them. They could have even had the other house guests that were in the house pack it up for them. I would have been fine from a technical standpoint, because I get the technicalities and how you have to physically make the stuff operate. But at the same time, that doesn't really have that big of an impact on the game level, them gathering all their stuff for them versus them just hanging out, talking about it, giving them the opportunity to try and game this when they should not have. It should have just been a random, okay, this person. And I can't take credit for this, but I can't remember if it was, because I listened to the RHAP recap, and it was either Taryn or Puya over there that mentioned, I think it was Taryn, that basically all you had to do was tell them one of them's the winner, and then just at the end, just say, okay, congratulations, you actually both won, and then explain the rules, and that whole time have each person that went out be the order of like who went to what team. They could have assigned that a certain way, or just like, I think someone said like grab an envelope and then they have like a 1 or a 2 or whatever, or Big Brochella or Dire Fest, whatever. It doesn't matter. But they could have at least done that, which would have worked. They've done that type of thing before, and they didn't. And then they get to all hang out and chit chat the whole time, and who knows? The fees were cut, so we don't know if they did actually game during that. It doesn't sound like they did a lot, but who knows? They at least had the ability to, at least from what we could see. So yeah, Alyssa is not happy to be outside. She sees porta potties and showers, and I put in there, I personally think this is crap. I do. We already talked about that. And then Joseph is also unhappy for the same exact reasons. Crazy Mad says, so this is the twist that would break you. Yes. Well, I won't say yes. It has the potential to, if I was in there, at least, and only to the point of them being forced, because I enjoy camping. I probably would have been fine with it, but even when I go camping, I go camping, I prefer tent camping, but even then I can only go for like a couple days at a time, where I'm like, okay, I gotta get inside, because as much as I do like that, I am still much more of an indoor person. I don't go outside a whole lot. I just get into a certain mood where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go camping. That's not what this is, and that even this, like, there's still other elements to camping that I enjoy that is not part of living outside. So I would have probably toughed through it, but if any of them did have the potential to break me, it would have been this one. And then Crazy Matt says, personally, I love the twist. I've camped out at 4-day concerts just like this. I have good memories. And hey, some people do, because most of the people that have done it are repeaters, so there's plenty of people that do it, enjoy it, and that's awesome. And you're also, and it does depend from festival to festival, I'm sure, based on what different securities they have, but sometimes you might be able to set yourself up a lot better than other people that are a lot more inexperienced, right? So they don't even have that ability to prepare themselves more. I mean, yeah, they have a mini fridge, they have an outdoor shower, they're not, struggling for cold water, but there's still a lot of choices that are being taken out of their control that they didn't know was going to be taken from them when they signed up. And that's kind of my whole thing. It's a lot of it is just the principle itself. But I'm glad you enjoy that. Like I said, there's, Turner definitely, he's having a ball. He has no problem doing it. At least, not for the first couple of days. He wasn't unhappy at all. But yeah, we get a nice HOH room segment from Terrence. That was nice to see. We go back inside BB Brochella, and everyone's up in the HOH room to see Michael's HOH room, and then everyone leaves besides Michael and Jasmine. And he basically tells her, I have to put Monty up. He says, I have to put Monty up. Jasmine wants Monty to be the target this week. She says that she doesn't want to go on the block. She doesn't want to go on the block because she doesn't want to go up on her birthday week. And the amount of straight facedness she used when she said this to him, I was beside myself. And I loved that. I like that they finally started calling out her crap and like allowing it to air on the edit. And Michael basically says that this is the third week in a row that she's used her birthday week as an excuse to not go up. The first week, if I remember correctly, was she was like, hey, my birthday week is coming up. It sucked for me not to get to spend my birthday in the Big Brother house since I'm already here. I think that was her first one. The second one obviously was because her birthday was Wednesday of last week. So her birthday it wasn't on a Thursday, right? So she is able to have 2 birthday weeks in the same realm as one or 2 different, like 2 different ones and 2 different Big Brother weeks. That being said, so she's trying to double up. She's like, I couldn't get nominated last week because it was my birthday week, and now I can't get nominated because this week is also my birthday week. And he's just like, this is ridiculous. No. So Jasmine says she doesn't want to go up. She knows Brittany's not going to go up. She knows he's not going to put Brittany up, and she knows Monty will go up. So it comes down to be between her and Taylor. And so Michael says, hey, I got plenty of reasons to take Jasmine out, and now it's about the time to do so. So, where we go? Monty, Brittany, Taylor, and Michael are up in the HOH room, and they're talking about how good they've been doing, how far they come along. And he tells them about Jasmine and her birthday week. And they're all kind of like, okay, awesome. Taylor says she's worried about what's going to happen outside. She's like, we have no idea. We don't know what type of influence. And I can't remember if it was in this part or a little bit later on, but basically they kind of are realizing that, look, he was going to leave the leftovers for Alyssa if it came down to it. And right now they're an obvious target. I think they all kind of realize, they don't want to say it, but they're all kind of like, something bad might happen. And we might lose a number this week, which is, at least at this point in the episode, quite likely. So Terrence says that he needs to get info from Turner. We're back outside. And Turner says he's going to go, basically, that he should go after the showmans. Terrence says he wants to target Joseph or Kyle. Essentially, what I think he said was he wants to target Joseph or Kyle, but probably he's going to end up going for Joseph. He thinks that's who he's going to, that's what the best decision is. So he's gonna go ahead and go with that. Turner's not happy with that. He doesn't want to lose a number. He wants to keep the leftovers strong in numbers. And he says that he wants to try and get the target to flip to Alyssa. And so Terrence says that he isn't close to Joseph, and that if he puts up Alyssa and Kyle, he can just backdoor Joseph. So he tells Joseph that, or he tells Joseph that, but he says, don't worry, you're not the target, but Joseph doesn't buy it, right? They switch to that. They kind of jumble this all up, but they go to him talking to Joseph, and he tells Joseph, like, look, I know I'm going to have to put you up, but it's not what it looks like, and all that stuff. So that's not what ends up happening, but that's what he's telling him. Terrence tells Alyssa that, listen, you got to trust me. Basically says, yes, I'm going to put you and Kyle up to backdoor Joseph, but I need you to trust me. Don't freak out on me or anything. And she's like, okay, she's not happy with that, but she can't really do anything in the moment about it. Terrence talks to Kyle, and he tells him the current plan. And Kyle says, yeah, just put up me and Joseph. And then Kyle says he's trying to act cool to Terrence, but inside he's really freaking out. So we cut, right? We go to commercial break. Thirsty. Mouth's getting dry. So go to commercial break. Come back. Kyle's kind of chilling. And basically it breaks up because I think those where we left off was outside when he's telling Terrence, just put me up, me and Joseph, and it'll work fine. So we come back, and in the morning, Kyle's talking about how he's been wanting to tell Alyssa that, tell her about the leftovers. He's been wanting to tell her about it for a while, and it's been a struggle trying to bring her in. And he says that's basically, he feels like he's in a position where he's going to have to throw the Alliance under the bus just to survive this week for him and Alyssa. And that's what he says that he tries to say from like a game perspective. He's like, she's a number for me for whoever I want out. I can count on her that she will never put me up. But it's not for game reasons. It's really not. So, but yeah, he decides it's time to take to basically throw the leftovers under the bus and neuter that. So I was when this was happening, because this is Friday. I was reading it as it was popping. I was like, "Oh crap!" Right? Okay, let's see where this goes. I was trying to listen to it, and I was getting this nice trim at the same time on my break, listening to it and getting trim. So it was very challenging to hear what was going on. On top of, because you guys, I don't know if you noticed just how bad just the shower was whenever, like in the conversation that's about to happen between Alyssa and Kyle when he's trying to talk to her, and you can't hear anything over the sound of Terrence in the shower, or he was watching something, but the water's rattling, and I'm like, that's them on the episode with Alyssa and Kyle's audio being amped up. On the feeds, it was way lower. You couldn't hear anything, right? So, it was very challenging to hear what was going on. But it was also very exciting because we finally see the leftovers officially get thrown out. Hence the title of the video, or of the stream. So he basically he says to Alyssa, he's like, do you know, like, do you understand what happened with the Amir vote? And she's like, what do you mean? And so he starts telling her, he's like, basically, we all realized the other side was coming. Now, I was trying to catch up on some of my notes, so I missed I don't know if he said this or not in the conversation, but he does not want Alyssa to know that he outed the Old School Alliance because of what Alyssa told him. He is trying to make it look like it's on the flip side with, I think it was Joseph and who was it? Amira. I think he said Amira. So he tells her that Amira told Joseph about Old School, and that that's what kind of caused the leftovers to realize they were on the outs and come together and flip the vote. So he tells her about all of that. He tells her that, listen, it was Amira, then Nicole, then Daniel, and they were trying to go after you next. I was able to get it switched to Indy, but they're pretty much down to coming after you next. And so he's like, we got to find a way. We got to flip this around. And I think I was later, but basically he's telling her all of this. She mentions how she's upset that he's known all of this. She says Kyle's known about there being a big alliance working behind the scenes the whole time. I don't know why he wouldn't tell me. I don't know why he would hide that and lie to me about that. So she's pretty upset. And he basically tells her that, yeah, you would have been next, but Indy went out instead, but they are coming after you, and we gotta flip it. So he says that they tried to push him. Yeah, he also says they tried to push him to vote her out, and he wouldn't do it. So he says that he's good with Michael and Brittany, and if they can add themselves to them, they could make a dual couples group and go to Final Four. So Kyle talks to Terrence, and he tells Alyssa, we got to let Terrence know about all this. We got to try and get him to flip it and see what's going on. So he goes to Terrence, and he basically says the exact same thing that he told Alyssa. Gives him all the same details, all the same info and everything. Terrence goes, so I basically screwed myself. He didn't say screwed, but we like to keep it a little bit cleaner. He says, I basically screwed myself throwing Otev. And he says that Kyle's like, yeah, pretty much. And Terrence says, I'm assuming you know, or he's like, I'm assuming you already know all that, what happened. And Kyle's like, yep. And Kyle basically repeats everything that Terrence had already told other people about what had happened. So that kind of confirms to Terrence that, okay, yeah, what you're telling me is legit because you already have all this. You already know what happened. I know the facts, obviously, because I did it, and you're confirming that. So it just gives him more confirmation. Hi, Marine. I just saw your hello. Hi, Marine. Crazy Mad says the leftovers will fold without Joseph, and I can see Kyle, Michael, and Brittany and Alyssa and Terrence make a final five. Imagine if Michael decides to take a shot at Monty. This would be the best season. And Mona also says hi. Hi, Mona. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Yeah, so let me go back up. So the leftovers will fold without Joseph, and I can see Kyle, Michael, Brittany, and Alyssa and Terrence make a final five. Kyle, Michael, Brittany, Alyssa, maybe. I don't know. I feel like Brittany and Michael, especially Brittany, is like dead set to not go against the majority, like the like we saw on Thursday's episode. people that aren't white. I don't know that she will in most scenarios. So again, yeah, I know Terrence is part of that group, but it's still they don't like the optics of that, so I don't know that they do that. Joseph, Kyle, Michael, Brittany, and Alyssa. Yeah, I could, yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see the four of them, I guess. I feel like at this point, Michael's also kind of like, he also knows that he can't trust Alyssa either. So I don't know. It really, and again, if I'd been more up to date with the feeds, I'd have a little bit better perspective, but I just can't figure out. I can't decide if I think that Michael and Brittany would join them and at least actually be committed to that for any amount of time. But I mean, it's not off the table. It definitely is possible. If they could convince them, I could definitely see a scenario where they are able to try and convince them that, this is, we got to get these other threats out. But I don't think it's likely, but I could be wrong. It is definitely a possibility. So yeah, Terrence basically tells Kyle he screwed himself doing that. And he says that he appreciates Kyle telling him all that. And it helps wake him up to what's been going on. Right. So he's like, I know what I need to do. I gotta make a big move, and I gotta get a big threat out of here. And later on, we'll get to that. Yeah. Kyle says that, why do you think that Monty and Joseph, I thought this was funny and also kind of savage. He's like, why do you think Monty and Joseph wanted you and asked you to pick their group? So that way, if they got nominated, you would be a third nominee that they could get out. It didn't have to come down to the two of them, and we have to vote out one of our alliance members. We could vote you out. And he's like, that kind of hits me. He's like, oh crap. Like, I was thinking that. I'm like, just imagine sitting there and being told, hey, the only reason you're still here is because, or the only reason someone included you in their group and they said they wanted you to join them is so that way, if they get in trouble, they can put the blame on you. That was pretty savage. It's 100% true, but I was like, dang, that would suck. So Terrence talks to Alyssa, and she's like, or one of them's like, hey, how you doing? How's your headspace? And she's like, her head's all over the place. He says he's happy and angry at the same time. And she says that she just got played in Big Brother. He said he was too. And he talks to her and says that, they're both at the bottom of the pecking order, and that her, Jasmine, and himself need to band together once they get back. Now, I might be missing something, but as soon as I heard him say that, I'm like, he just found out that whole side, literally everyone on the inside of the house, minus Jasmine, is in an alliance together. So did I miss something on the feeds or something that makes him think that Jasmine could be safe? Because I feel like I heard or read something about him saying that, like he had made a comment like that within the last day or two on the feeds, and I thought the same thing then. I'm like, you're not, like, you're gonna have, like, Jasmine's gonna go out. She's the only person not in that alliance. So unless I miss something, I'm like, what are you thinking? You're gonna have to figure something different out if that's your only plan. Because as it sits now, Jasmine is the target, and it should be obvious to you that that's what's going on. You haven't figured that out yet. So Terrence, he talks about how, he might have to change his plans after he's gotten all this info. And he's a little bit worried. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but I might have to switch some stuff up, because if I was worried about putting them two up, then that's a new potential number, like a number that Alyssa's a number I need now. And if either Joseph or Monty win veto, they're going to use that to pull, or they're going to keep the noms the same and vote Alyssa out. So I don't know if he realized that yet, because he was like he didn't go over all of that info. That's just kind of like my perception. Like, he said that and he's like, I need to use her as a number. So I'm like, yeah, because of all these reasons. I don't know that he even realized that. But, he does at least realize that, there's another target, there's an alliance, and we need to split that up. So he's like, I might need to change my plans. So Monty talks to Michael, and he says that he's fine with being a pawn this week. I don't know what it is. Like, have you not learned your lesson? Like, we've had this twice. We had it happen with Pooch, who literally said, "Put me up, coach. I'm ready to play." And then Nicole, who didn't volunteer, but was kind of like, once she was up, was kind of like, oh yeah, like she didn't volunteer, but it was the closest thing to volunteering without volunteering. Like she didn't want to go up, but Daniel kind of volunteered on her behalf, and she completely agreed with his thinking after. So I'm like, next season, because we see this every year, right? And we're seeing this year because of all the stuff with the cookout. Every season gives insight into the thinking that the players in the next season and the ones ahead are going to have, right? That's why I said earlier in the season, I was like, hopefully this sets a precedent for new seasons, for new players, that if you can tell you're on the outs, you can come together and form something like the Leftovers did, because that never happens. It really hasn't happened since season 6, where the people on the outside actually, like, sometimes they realize it, but they just don't do anything about it, or they're too scared to make a move, or they're too fearful to jump ship, so they don't ever all come together. But they finally did this season, so I'm hoping that sets that precedent. I love that actually happened, because we might be able to see people actually turn things around in future seasons. This is another one of those I'm afraid of, is like, well, are we going to see all it's a meme, and everyone, it's talked about on the show and on Twitter and everything, about how, pooched himself by nominating to go on the block. He was super confident. Like, everyone who watches the show knows that was a stupid move, and they keep referring to it as a stupid move, but they continue to do it. Even the players on the inside, the people on the inside are the ones coining like the pooching himself, so they know what's going on. They know that they shouldn't be doing it and that it's stupid to volunteer, but they keep doing it. Now, I do understand that it does take on, and we even said this during Bestie Fest, but the Bestie Fest did kind of alter that a little bit, so I do give a little bit of slack to those situations. It's like, look, we have to take this person out, and the only other way to do it, like, we all are aligned with someone that is outside of the alliance, so there's no way around it. Some of us are going to have to go up, and if you both, if you agree with your alliance on the target, and that target happens to be your partner, and you're like, yeah, like, if you really believe it, so I give credit for the Bestie Fest situation. I won't hark on that too much, but that's still not the only like reasoning behind some of this. And it's just setting, I feel like we're going to start seeing this next season. People are just going to not volunteer themselves all the time and disregard the facts of how stupid it is and how it has not paid off for anyone that did. But yeah, he basically tells them, look, I know that, we're trying to get Jasmine out this week, and you can make it look a lot better and look a lot more convincing. You have a lot more excuses if you put me up over Taylor. And obviously you're not going to put Brittany up. So he's like, I'm fine with doing it. I feel comfortable. So we get to the nomination ceremonies, and I got to say, out of everything that they did with this twist, now, for me, I feel like the way that they handled this episode was nothing like what they said they were going to when they were setting it up. I feel like when Julie explained it, it basically, the way I took it was that they were going to have like 30 minutes, right? Where it was like, we see the HOH winners, we see the split, and then we have about half the rest of the episode dedicated to the inside, the other half dedicated to the outside. With that being also the nominations, right? That the nominations would take place in that first chunk for the first group, and then the second chunk would all be about the other group and have their nominations at the end. So that's kind of what I took from it. I honestly don't know which way I would have preferred. I think when they first said it, I was kind of like, yeah, I'd like this a little more, but I don't know if that's the case. What I will say is that with them having decided to go this route, I actually really like, from production standpoint, the way they did it. Because even then at this point, I'm like, okay, they're just going to have one. Because again, like, based on what they had said, I assumed, okay, they're going to have one nomination ceremony and then another nomination ceremony. But that's not what they did exactly. But I actually kind of liked it. If they weren't going to split it up that way, I liked the way they had the contrast. Pretty much everything about I thought was really cool. I liked the way like from the very first moment they got like Michael looking at the wall, and then they got Terrence walking down the steps, which is funny because he's not sleeping up there. He's not coming from the HOH room. So they had to tell him, hey, walk up the steps and wait for us to say, okay, start. Like, so they had to go, like, obviously they know from a production standpoint, but that's just like such a funny visual that they're like, we got to have that they're like, oh, well, just walk up there and then we'll call you when to come down. But anyway, besides that, I thought from the very beginning when they started doing that, where they were like walking down the steps, and then he goes and he tells them, all right, time to start. And he goes, the constant back and forth with like each little thing I loved. I kind of wish that they had done that after they announced like the nominations. I wish they would just been like, let Michael say, let me, or tell his two, and then Terrence tell his two, and then go back and forth with the fallout from that. But I don't know. For some reason, I loved it. And I actually loved seeing the simplicity of Terrence just being like, I nominate you and you. That's how they do it on BB Can. And I don't mind like the production side of everything where it's like putting on a show. I kind of like that aspect. I like feeling like we're putting on, a big performance of some sort, not that I want it scripted or influenced by any means, but from like dressing it up and stuff, I'm fine with that. But it did kind of feel a little bit, I don't know why, but to me, it felt a little old school BB-ish, one of like early seasons. We're talking like first like 5 or 6, doing like the outside, just having to sit around. I feel like we've gotten something like that in one of the older seasons, and I could be wrong. But anyone that watched, have we ever seen something like that where there was like nominations like outside or like heavy decisions like that were, I don't know. I feel like we've seen that before. I kind of had a little bit of deja vu some of the older seasons, especially with like Sundown, the way it was like shadowing, because that one actually was much later. These didn't actually happen at the same time. The inside one happened like 3 or 4 hours earlier, and I was kind of confused because I wasn't watching the feeds at the time. I was just reading the Twitter updates. And I see Michael nominated Monty and Jasmine for eviction, and then nothing else. And then finally, like 3 hours later, I see a tweet that says, second or feature done again for the next nomination ceremony. So it didn't happen at the exact same time. So that's why it was like real shouted. But the whole thing visually to me just felt very, very fun, very deja vu-ish. But that's just me. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. The whole side of that, again, the simplicity of it, it really, I appreciated it, at least for a change. But yeah, and so yeah, that kind of wraps it up. Jasmine says that she hopes she can trust Michael, and that what he says about Monty going home, that's what's going to happen. And says she just wants to. I can't. I literally can't. She wants to celebrate the rest of her birthday month in the house. I mean, I swear, like, they gave her that. Like, they fed her that. Like, oh, well, you've already made a thing about your birthday week for 3 weeks now. You should say something like, oh, like, because she knows she said it. So it's not like they're like, oh, you said this thing and it's catchy. Like, she keeps saying it. So that's just so obvious. And but like, I say that's so obvious that she said that. If someone said that, no, she came up with that on her own, like if I had that confirmed, I would 100% believe it. Like, because she's dead serious when she's like, I don't want to, it'd be terrible for me to go up on my birthday week. And she's saying that to Michael, and it's the third time she said it, like the third week in a row she's used that excuse. I 100% believe that she could have come up with that. It's just, you could kind of, I know, I felt like I saw a slight snicker, or a slight smirk when she said it. So it sounded like something they fed her, and I feel like it's more likely that they did, but I'd 100% believe it if she just was like, it's my birthday month, I want to stay in this, I want to celebrate the rest of my birthday month here. It's like, and then after her birthday, it's going to be, well, I can't possibly lose Big Brother on my birthday year, my birthday season, so whatever. And then, and Turner, so it was very fun watching, again, Terrence's nomination speech for, like I said, because it kind of felt throwbacky. it was it felt very just stripped down, very just open, and like, I'm nominating you and you, and he actually had to say their names. Like, you tell me I'm not the only one that could tell when watching that. It's like that as the HOH is a little bit more tough. Like, it's almost like a little more gutsy, that you can't hide behind the keys and just have it like brought up. You actually have to physically look them in the eye and say their names. Or Turner, I nominate you, and Joseph, I nominate you. Like, having to actually look them in the eyes and say that, I feel like is a little bit, like, takes a little bit more guts, like, so, or it's a little more ballsy, so really, I thought that was great, and I definitely kind of got that vibe from watching it, but he basically says, I've given you guys the opportunity to tell me the truth, and you lied, and it's kind of like that. That's what I don't know. I didn't quote it word for word. That's what I interpreted from what he was saying. So I'm like, you're straight up telling them they lied about stuff. And I haven't caught anything on the feeds that would indicate, that would happen. Or that is what did happen based on the conversations. So, but yeah, I did enjoy it. His speech is pretty savage. I am enjoying Turner or Terrence a little bit more than I expected. I know he's not been the best guy, but at least from like a show perspective, or theatrical perspective, he's had some pretty good DRs. DR sessions where he's kind of narrated what's been going on, and then also too, just like some of the savagery of what he said to some people, he's just like, whatever. That being said, it's very, very difficult to take anything he says seriously. So anyway, but yeah, that does it for the episode pretty much. I will go back and cover some of the other stuff. Any of you guys that are still in the chat, if you haven't already, if you have a question, we try and save most of those towards the end. So we have gone over a couple, but go ahead and drop those in now, and we'll get to those before the stream ends. While you guys are writing those up, before we get there, we really don't do a lot of like spoilery talk on here. So I'm going to try to talk about stuff in less spoilery, but it is very challenging watching the feeds this week, because you don't get full access to either house. Sometimes they're showing the majority, or sometimes they're showing the entirety of one house on the feeds, and sometimes the other, and then sometimes they have 2 cams on the inside, 2 cams on the outside, so you're only getting one perspective from each house. But not only that, I believe, now I could be totally wrong about the time, but I believe it was around midnight, 10 to midnight, Big Brother time last night, and the feed just stopped, and on both sides they went down. I think they went to pet cam, and they were down all night. Wake up this morning, it wasn't until around 10 o'clock their time, maybe might have been 1 o'clock there, or 11 o'clock their time, and the feeds finally come back up, but only on the inside of the house, nothing on the outside. So we won't get into the spoilers as of who won, but I will at least say that both veto competitions have taken place, not the ceremonies, have both taken place at this point. What everyone's kind of been talking about is everyone's kind of suspecting that it was a wall yeller, and someone tried to yell something over, and so they cut the feeds. And I've heard a lot of different stuff. I'm pretty sure this was just a sarcastic joke, but I read somewhere on Twitter that said that they moved the outsiders from the backyard to Julie's main stage, so they didn't hear wall yelling, which is crap. That's no way. Like, they would have to physically leave. Like, yeah, they've done that for other stuff before, but it's very, like, going through those doors is symbolic of going home. So I don't feel like they would do that for that reason, as well as the fact that even then, I feel like they are susceptible to hearing more stuff if they're on the main stage, because there's still like a whole crew that is walking around on the outside of that. So they would have to, I don't know that they could function throughout the week getting there. And then it doesn't even make sense for Thursday. So yeah, I don't know where that came from. That's crap. You can quote me on that. I will, I don't know what I would bet to say that that's not the case, but I am 100% sure it's not. I've also heard rumors that they have just been blasting music the entire time, trying to keep them from hearing what's been going on or any potential more wall yellers. But here's what it all comes down to. We talked about how good of a concept this twist was and still is, and how poorly executed it is. Again, I'm saying again because I'm not the first person that said this. What did they think would happen, right? I mean, and again, someone else already made this point. For most days that the house guests are outside, they're only getting a few hours at a time, because they're like setting stuff up and arranging stuff, and then they have lockdowns for the inside, yada yada. There's usually only like one, maybe 2 days a week where they have pretty much full access whenever they want. So viewers have been able to go, and I mean, you can look. I've seen where the road is. I've seen where it's at on Google Earth. I'm that diehard. I'm that weird that I've gone into it that much. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the lot from satellite view several times. There's a road that's right up against, like if you walk into the backyard and you have like the patio furniture over here, the washing machine stuff over here, and the spiral staircase that goes to the top part, the pool over there. This wall, there's a road that runs along against it. Now there is, from what I've seen, it looks like there's like a chunk of space between like the actual like back of the building that surrounds the outside, that surrounds like the outside or the backyard. And there's like some grass and like a couple little different like utility buildings and utility machines, and then like a fence, right? But that it's still close enough that people can at least get a megaphone and yell into it. This has happened before, and the fact that it's happened when there's like most of the time, like they've never had it where they're outside for 7 days straight. So the fact that they're saying that when people can be watching the feeds and see that people are outside only for a couple hours, then as long as they can be and time that right, as long as someone can see that their feeds aren't cut for a competition or ceremony, they can easily go out there at any point this week and say whatever they want. And the one thing I'm not sure about, because I mentioned this talking to my wife, I was like, I don't know about whether or not that road is part of the CBS lot, but if it's not, they can't have security out there patrolling that. They wouldn't have the legal rights to do that. So what did they expect? And obviously it's not like they had really done any work, because there was nothing, again, unless there was just a security officer patrolling the area. I don't know if it could or could have been. So unless that was the case and they were completely like making sure no one was there, other than that, they didn't take any precautions, because you could hear all the background, you could hear planes going and everything else. So they didn't set themselves up for anything but failure with that. And so to this point, I believe, and I could be wrong, that the backyard feeds have still not come up. So all I will say is that there are a lot of conversations that have gone on that would have really benefited from us watching the feeds that we know are probably going to happen, and a lot that could be happening that simply we'll never know, because we know the feeds aren't going to tell us accurately. So it's very annoying from that perspective. So that's just another. Be prepared for that coming up on Wednesday's episode. That's because again, they have veto winners, but not the ceremony. So at least at this point, they have kind of rushed stuff. Because they did the inside of the house's veto ceremony or veto competition Friday night after the outside did their nominations. And then I think it was like fairly early in the day that they did the veto comp for the other side. No, it might have been towards midday. Yeah, it was. It was a little bit more midday, because it actually kind of took a while for them to get, like, it took them a lot longer to set the other competition up, or it felt like it anyway. Like, I feel like they could have just got him in there pretty quick based on what we think the competition was. So anyway, all that being said, there's who knows if they're actually going to show the veto ceremonies. I don't know that they would have time. I don't understand how they're going to edit 2 veto competitions and 2 veto ceremonies, because like the episode's an hour long, right? And you usually take about 15 to 20 minutes out for commercials, so you're only getting about 40 to 45 minutes. So you have, and most of the competitions are about 20 minutes. So they take like 20 minutes for one cop, 20 minutes for another, then about 10 minutes or so, maybe 5 to 10 minutes for each ceremony. You only have like 10, 15 minutes to actually talk about the strategy behind the decisions that are being made. So real quick, I just see that we're up to 9. So anyone here that, first off, if you like the video and you're new here, hit that like button, like we said before, really helps us out. And subscribe if you're new and you're enjoying it, because we are here 15 to 30 minutes after the airing of each episode. But for anyone that is new here, we do try and save most of our questions towards the end. So if you have any questions or comments, put them in the live chat, and we'll cover those by the end of the episode. And we will start wrapping stuff up here pretty soon. So if you got stuff you want to say, drop them in. So all that being said, basically they have really screwed themselves. And it's very annoying as someone who, I do consider myself a feed watcher, as much as I've been behind these last few weeks on what's been going on in the feeds. But with all that being said, it's very frustrating to see that we have like a whole day missing of feeds, and we've already had to deal with that once this season, right? Pretty much a day when Paloma left, and now we had to have another blackout. And they knew how angry everyone was, because before the episode even aired earlier that day, like barely afternoon, they were like, don't worry guys, we're still the feeds will come back on tonight, right after the West Coast airing of the episode, or the East Coast airing. So they know that people are going to be angry. They know that people are paying for the fee, or for Paramount Plus for those feeds. And I would be willing to bet that Paramount and Viacom and CBS are not happy when the feeds are down, because when people, and most people make threats, don't actually follow through. I have actually seen a couple people on Twitter that said, I've already canceled my subscription. It doesn't really, I don't think many people will actually follow through, but that's still, like, Paramount knows people are signing up to their app. Some are just to watch the feeds. And if we're not giving them what they want, quite literally what they're signing up for, we're going to lose some people. Because I don't think they realize how diehard the fan base is, and how much they say stuff like, oh, they don't do what I want, I'm going to cancel my subscription, and don't. I mean, I'm sure they know there's some, they're business people, they're smart, they know that, but still, I don't imagine that they're very happy with it either. So again, to my understanding, we still haven't got the feeds back, and it's ridiculous. It really is. But anyway, so that's some more info for you. So anyway, let's go ahead and start covering up the live chat questions. Also, too, guys, again, one more time, if you're new, we're going to go over these live chat questions. We try to go over all the questions at the end. So if you got any questions for me, any comments or anything, drop them in. We'll cover them right before the stream ends. Also, too, sometimes we try and do this. I like you guys follow me on Twitter, because we don't actually have access to the community tab yet. So that's where I post all of our updates for any changes to the stream, anything like that. So if you guys follow me on Twitter during the stream, at DAC Chats, I'll shout you out at the end. We got that idea from our friend Tom with TV Talks to Tom. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, where did we leave off? I think it was Crazy Mad said Michael's DR earlier. He seemed pretty happy if Direfest took a shot. Okay, yeah. See, that's what I was interpreting from it. I was like, it seems like he's perfectly fine with, Kyle taking that shot. It seems like that's what he's actually hoping is what happens. That's what I took from it, but I was a little bit confused by it. So thank you for clearing that up, at least from your perspective. Mona says, I was late. Who said the camping was a deal breaker? Crazy Matt asked me, basically said, so the camping or the split twist, or this is the twist that would break you. And I said, because I was complaining about the fact that while as much as I hate twists and all that stuff, for the most part, I don't like the way, or at least I don't like the way the twists are designed. So I kind of hate the twist. As much as I do that, anyone that goes on the show and says and is upset about a certain twist or about a certain rule or the way the game works, anything like that, anyone that goes and saying that, I'm basically like, you did. You can't say I didn't sign up for this because you did. Living outside is not something that they had any precedent for, unless it was just in a fine print in the contract somewhere. They had no precedent before to know that was an option. And so they did not sign up for that because they did not know that was going to be an option. There was never a precedent for that. So that's that for me. And like I said it. I probably would tough it out, but I said, as much as I hate when people make that argument of I didn't sign up for this, whatever, in that moment, I would be fairly angry enough that I would probably, or I wouldn't say, I wouldn't, I'm not saying that it would break me, but it would be the closest one to break me. If nothing other than the principle alone just eating at me. And then, Crazy Mad mentions that said that Dak said he'd probably be okay, but that I'd hate it. Mona says, oh, well, I can see how camping on AstroTurf would be different and less idyllic than camping in the woods or at the beach. And that's another part too, is it's like a different, it's not real. It's not really nature. So it's going to be, I know I'm not spending a ton of time on turf. I feel like it's kind of got like an unnatural type of like weird sensation, like when it touches, I don't know. But I feel like you can definitely tell you're not touching something natural when you're touching it. Crazy Matt says, it's not ideal, but you do get a full-time pull-in hot tub. That's true. You do. And I'm trying to think, there was something else that because I was thinking about how, the inside won't have access to the outside. Oh, it's basically, I was thinking about how, the outside group's going to have no break from the elements at all for a week. And then I was like, and on the flip side, the inside of the house, they're not going to have any sun for a week, which is like insane. They're not going to have any like fresh air. I know fresh air is not really a thing, but they're not going to have any like being outside, getting sunlight or anything like that. That's tough. That can really cause some like even bad mental issues, and anxiety and stuff, just not getting any sun at all. So I was like, oh man, that's really tough. You do get the pull-in hot tub, but you don't get any protection from the elements. And, I don't know. I'm not sure which side has it worse. I mean, like I said, I don't like spending a whole lot of time outside myself, but I at least walk to my vehicle every day. I'm getting light from windows, and there are no windows except for that big one, and there's the shade over it. So you're not getting nothing from that. Maldine, is it Madeline? Madeline. Hi, Madeline. Thanks for stopping by. We don't have to say you're late. You just got here a little bit in a longer time span than everyone else. They didn't have a good set. Yeah, I agree, Madeline. They did not have a good setup. It's just now you want to Google Earth. I cannot remember the address, okay, but I can get it tomorrow, and I will. I'll mention it, or I might even tweet it out tomorrow if I remember to do it. That way you can see it. That's another reason to go follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. So you can see that. Marine says, Wall Yellers is one of the first things I thought about when they announced a group that would be living outside. Yeah, I did too. I didn't really think about it a whole lot, but it just kind of grazed my mind. I was like, well, now you just have that option. So I didn't dwell on it as much as I should have. Not really enough to say that, I already thought about that. Like, I knew that was going to happen, but still, it was uh, I was like, you're setting, you're like, what did you think was it? I'm not getting paid to realize that stuff. They are. They are definitely the ones getting paid to figure all that out, not me. And even I could even like come up with the thought of it. But yeah. And so anyway, Madeline says, I think it would suck to be outside, especially using a porta potty. A porta potty? Or a porta potty. I don't know what a porta potty is. That doesn't sound like an enjoyable ride. I don't know that I would want to be going through different portals when I was in that vulnerable of a state. And they said they could have gotten them an RV or a poo-up camper. Yeah. I don't know how the RV... I mean, I agree it has to be, at least from a production standpoint, the way they set everything up, it would still have to be connected to the house in some way. I don't know how the basement is. That was something that's bugged me about the BB basement. Again, I like the loft because it's designed to look like a loft, so I want to call it the loft, but it probably is the basement. I don't know where it's at. That did kind of bug me. I'm like, are they taking them off site? Because I hate that. I hate them getting taken off site. The only time, like, I don't even like the twist where they let them go out and interact with the public personally, or the rewards when they do that. The only time I was ever really fine with it is when they did in season 10, when Dan got to take, I think it was Michelle, to a private island and spend a day there. So there was no like outside interaction with any other people. I will consider all, like, everyone that's on the crew to be fine for them to be around in certain scenarios. I mean, we don't want the crew, intermingling, but there's going to be situations where that has to happen just for like medical purposes. So I will be fine with that. But like any other person that's not on the production that doesn't work for the show should not, and maybe we'd say maybe possibly family members, that they were ever like try to do like a surprise reward or something where they would actually have their family member there. Anything outside of that, I don't feel like they should be able to have even the potential to interact with anyone on the outside. So I hate just, but even then, even with it being with, members of production, I still hate the thought of them being taken off site to perform a challenge or a ceremony. It just, I don't like it. I really don't. It's, and that's the thing, is it probably is offsite, or it's at least probably not a clear direct pathway there, like backyard is to the house, or both the DRs are, or the have not room. They don't, I don't know that they have, like, I don't think they have that direct route. So that's why I'm like, they're probably taking them off site. If they did, if there was a direct route, I think they should open that up and like let them use that as, because they like to use it as the competition, as a competition playground or whatever. But still, if they ever wanted to expand anything, I think that'd be a good option. But who knows? There we go. It's towards the end, so I can ramble and rant all I want. It's my stream. I get to change the rules, just like Big Brother. Do whatever I want. All right. So, let's go check Twitter one more time. None of y'all follow. All right. Well, that's because you guys all already follow me. I know I look stupid. I don't care. All right. Well, next time, if you want a shout out, go ahead and do it. All right, guys, that is going to call it for tonight's stream. Again, if you have liked this video, I know I've beaten it into you guys a ton, but if you've liked this video, like this stream, hit that like button. And if you're new here and you're enjoying the stream, we're here. We try and go live about 15 to 30 minutes after each episode airs on again, someone's going to have to remind me, West Coast or East Coast. I think it's the West Coast. West Coast airing, or Big Brother time. That's what I refer to it. I was never good with geology. Anyway, we try to go live 15 to 30 minutes after the episode airs, Big Brother time. And then we just stream and we try and take your guys' comments at the end, so it gives you time to load those up and we can just kind of go over everything. So, but yeah, we cover Big Brother here and we have a lot of fun doing it. So if you're new and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join join the group. We have a lot of fun here. All right, guys, that is going to do it for tonight's episode. I'm excited for Wednesday's episode because I got a little bit more that I want to talk to you guys about. I thought about putting out a little mini video the other day, kind of going over something interesting that happened to me with one of the Big Brother Facebook groups, and interacting with a fellow BB YouTuber, and nothing bad on this individual, but it's a funny story, and it kind of led me to decide to do something. So we're going to go over that. If we might put out a video between now and then. If not, then we'll cover that Wednesday because that'll be fun. But yeah, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. So we'll for sure see you guys Wednesday. And we'll catch you then. And believe me, guys, you're going to want to tune into Wednesday. Make sure you watch Wednesday's episode, at least of Big Brother, because there's going to be a few things that you're going to want to see. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll leave it there. You guys have a great night, and we will see you soon.